what have you covered in skin and soft tissue infections till now? Any favorite pathogen that can cause SSTI? Can you name any pathogen that can cause SSTI? And strepto, okay, and amongst virus? Can anybody give me the classification of fungus? Yeast-like and molds and dimorphic fungus. Okay, so in today's chapter, you will see that all of these are somehow involved in skin and soft tissue infections. So today's chapter will see the classification based on the what area and in which condition it is affecting body. So if it's superficial mycosis, it means it is attacking where? The keratinized tissue, skin, hair, nail and mucosa. Okay? And mucosa. In subcutaneous mycosis, it can attack the underlying tissues up to bones. Okay? And in opportunistic infections, people with immunocompromised state. What is immunocompromised state? Any examples? HIV, transplant patients, anything, anybody who has been undergoing treatment for immunosuppression, cancer patients, all these patients are prone to opportunistic infections. Okay, why opportunistic? Because these fungus, they are there in the environment, ubiquitous. Some of them are normal mucosal flora also. For example, Candida. But they are causing opportunistic severe infections in these immunocompromised cases. Okay. Then coming to superficial mycosis, we will see Tinea versicolor, we will see Piedra and we will see dermatophytes. Among dermatophytes, there is a huge classification. Further, it is classified into the fungus based on where they attack. So first disease here we are seeing is Tinea versicolor. What is it caused by? It's caused by Malassezia furfur. Okay. What does it what happens? Hypopigmentation. On which areas? On the areas where there is numerous sebaceous glands. Okay, trunk, face, these places. This fungus is lipophilic. So when you are culturing into the laboratory, you provide it with what? Lipids, oils. Okay. What is it characterized by? It is characterized by flat, round, scaly patches of hypopigmentation. Now those of you know that this is looking like some other disease that you have seen very commonly outside. What is that disease? Vitiligo. So you have to differentiate it with the vitiligo. Here there is infectious cause. Vitiligo is because of what? It's because of deranged immunity. It's because of, it's an autoimmune disorder. This is because of fungus. Okay. Then further, you know that it is attacking on the places where there are sebaceous gland. What can it lead to? It can lead to seborrheic dermatitis. You can see such erythematous, pruritic, scaly lesions on the place where there are numerous sebaceous glands such as face, neck and trunk. Okay. Plus, it can lead to atopic dermatitis. What is atopic dermatitis? Which hypersensitivity? Type 1. Okay, it can also portray itself like contact dermatitis, type 4 hypersensitivity, and folliculitis. What is folliculitis? Infection of the hair follicle. So this is how it can manifest. What is the causative organism? Malassezia furfur. What is the name of the disease? Tinea versicolor. How do you know it's tinea versicolor? You will see the scaly hypopigmentation on sebaceous gland places. Okay. On direct microscopy, what will you see? Can you see hypha here? This is hypha, right? Segmented septate hypha and certain cells, budding yeast cells. So when you see this, does this give you the appearance of spaghetti and meatball? It is looking like spaghetti and meatball. So this is the characteristic thing about Malassezia furfur. Spaghetti and meatball appearance in microscopy is seen in which disease? Tinea versicolor. Okay. When you culture this Malassezia into the laboratory on SDA and overlay with olive oil. Why are you overlaying it with olive oil? Because this fungus is lipophilic. So what will it show you? It will show you this fried egg colonies. It will look like this. Then it is urease positive. This is how the urease tube looks. This is the negative control. When it's positive, when the organism is able to produce urease, it will give you this pink color, this color change. This means that the organism is urease positive. Then on wood lamp examination, you will see that there is fluorescence on the patches. It's because of what? Some substance that fluoresces under the wood lamp examination, under the fluorescence light. Okay? How can you treat it? You can treat it with selenium sulfide shampoo or ketoconazole or terbinafine cream. This was about Tinea versicolor. Okay? Then coming to Tinea nigra. Can you see this? Non-scaly black. These patches are painful and you'll mostly find them on soles and palms. So here we have taken picture of sole. What is it caused by? It is caused by Hortia wernicki. Okay, it's caused by Hortia wernicki. It's a black colored yeast-like fungus. Yeast-like fungus. What was Malassezia? Did it show you hyphae also? So it was also yeast-like. Okay. Then coming to Piedra. What happens in Piedra? You can see such nodules formation on the hair shaft. Can you see this nodules formation? Such nodules you can observe on the hair shaft. It can be in white or black color. So you call it, based on the appearance of these nodules, you can call them as white Piedra or black Piedra. Okay. What are these things? These rectangular spores. These rectangular spores are asexual spores. Arthroconidea. You call them arthroconidea. Why is it forming like this? These arthrospores, why are they forming like this? So that when there is favorable environment again, these things can regenerate into the full grown fungus. Okay, this is just the survival strategy for the fungus. यहाँ पे तो लिखा है hyline septate hyphae intervening with okay, यहाँ पे सिर्फ इतना लिखा है, this is the rectangular arthrospore. But what is arthrospore? You come here and you try to speak from there and then you will know that I can't hear anything. You have to be little louder and confident. Here, what was the causative organism? Trichosporon bigeli. This causes what? White Piedra. Black Piedra is caused by Piedria horti. Again, you can see this. This is another, this is what you name in case of Piedra horti, you call it as ascospore. But what is the function of these spores? These dominant spores, they will cause the fungus to grow when there is again favorable environment. So basically they are taking up, they are behaving like the spores in case of bacterium, right? What is phaeoid fungus? Phaeoid fungus means particularly black in color and able to produce a pigment. They have another name, diatomaceous fungus. Okay, phaeoid and diatomaceous, the same thing. Coming to dermatophytosis. Dermatophytosis is caused by dermatophytes. It's a group of fungus capable of infecting keratinized tissue. I told you in the beginning. What are these keratinized tissues? Skin, hair and nail. So there are 3 typical species that can cause all these infections, but some of them do not cause infection in anyone. So in case of Trichophyton species, they can infect skin, hair and nail. So how to remember? You can see this tri means 3. They are causing infection in 3 of them. And Microsporum causes infection in skin and hair. Epidermophyton causes infection in skin and nail. So can you see skin is common in 3 of them? When you talk about epidermis, you consider nail. And in case of Microsporum, you consider hair. That's how you have to remember. Okay? Just remember these 3 species. Now, based on the usual habitat, what do you mean by usual habitat? Where they reside, where the fungus is found commonly. There is anthropophilic, zoophilic and geophilic. By this we mean anthropophilic, mostly causing human infections. Okay? Very common human infections observed in all these 3 dermatophytes. Zoophilic means attacking the animals. Okay? And geophilic, surviving in the nature, surviving in the soil. Okay? This is how, based on their habitat, we classify them. Anthropophilic, zoophilic and geophilic. How do you acquire this fungus? Based on habitat means when you come in contact with these people suffering from anthropophilic fungal dermatophytic infection. If you come in contact with certain person and you are prone because of low immunity or because of certain other circumstances, for example, very humid environment, or there is skin abrasion on your skin which came into contact with this, you can get this. Okay? Or direct contact with the soil which had this fungus or with the animals. Same with the humans. Okay, what is the predisposing factor? Moist, humid skin. So in temperatures like this, in summers, can you see moist, humid skin and tight, ill-fitting underclothing? So what is happening? The sweat is giving a good environment for this fungus to grow underneath the clothing. Okay, what happens in dermatophytes? You can see a centrifugal pattern of infection. So there is central clearing. Have you seen ringworm anytime? There is central clearing and surrounding skin is infected. So that is known as centrifugal pattern. Where is it affecting? Stratum corneum, ring-shaped pleuritic scaly lesion with central clearing and raised agent. So it is pleuritic also. Whenever there is this infection, intense itching is experienced. Okay? And how will it invade the nails? Through the nail blades, like lateral and superficial nail blades, and spread throughout the nails. So it can infect throughout the nail. That is why the treatment that you take for in case of nail infection is longer than that you take for skin and hair infection. Okay? Now, hair shafts, it is invading hair shafts, but along with that, it is surrounding area is also infected. So what will happen? You can see the areas of alopecia, area of hair loss surrounding this infection. Okay? And you can see certain pustular folliculitis, which is known as Mazzocchi's granuloma. Okay? This is seen where? Surrounding the hair follicles. Okay? Why are males most commonly infected by dermatophytes? Because progesterone has ability to fight these infections. Who has progesterone? Males are commonly infected as progesterone is inhibitory to dermatophyte growth. Who has progesterone? Females in more number. So, males are more commonly infected. Severity depends on infective fungi, immune status of the host and site of lesion. I told you site of lesion, if it's nail, it will take a longer time. It may not heal, it may recur again and again. It entirely depends on how you treat it. If you do not treat for the full course, it may reoccur. Okay? Because there is a reason for this. Okay, these are the clinical types. And when you see clinical types, you will see the first word is having tinea in ahead of it, but this thing will tell you where is the infection occurring. For example, over here we are talking about capitis. Capitis means scalp. Okay, so here you are seeing that infection is there in the capit, in the scalp. What is it producing? Scaly patches, and these are the subtypes of the scaly patches. What are the subtypes? Carrion, Favis, Ectothrix and Endothrix. These are very easy to remember. Ectothrix means arthrospores are along the surface of the hair shaft. Okay? But in Endothrix, endo-internal, arthrospores are within the hair, completely filling the hair shaft. That is Endothrix and Ectothrix. Then coming to Carrion. Carrion is painful inflammatory condition along the boggy lesions on the scalp. So here you will see this black colored infection which is boggy to touch and pruritic and painful. Okay. Then Favis, it's a cup-like crust. Here the crust has already formed around the infected hair follicle. Okay. These are all clinical types of tinea capitis, infection of the scalp. Then, can you see corporus? Corpora means body. Okay. So, here infection is there in the non-hairy skin of body such as trunk and limb. This is corporus. Then pedis. Pedis means foot. You know, there are podologists. Podology is the study of food. Pedis. So here, this is causing infection in the foot. So it can infect the webs between the toes and spread to the mole and moccasin pattern. What is moccasin? Here you can see that the heel part of the foot, it's getting keratin, it's getting hard, thick and infection is caused. It can also cause the crusting in these foot areas and there will be breakage. And this is a very common finding. You can see athlete's foot, we call it. Okay. The people who do rigorous training wearing shoes and have hyper sweating problem, they can have this athlete's foot. Then coming to tinea cruris. Cruris means groin area. So there will be tinea infection in the groin area. Tinea barbae means infection in the beard and moustache area. Okay, common in males. And tinea fasciae. Tinea fasciae, areas of non-beard. All other areas on the face. So what is this? This is the tinea and this is the place where it is causing infection. Very easy to remember. Okay. Tinea imbricata. Concentric lesions on the skin other than tinea corporis. Okay. Tinea unguinum causes nail infection and tinea manum, palmar aspect of the hand. Okay. These are all tinea dermatophytic infections causing infection in the respective parts of the body. What is this first one? This is capitis. So this is tinea capitis. This is tinea fasciae. This is in the foot, tinea pedis. And this is on the non-hairy part of the body. So it is tinea corporis. Okay, we talked about this lesions with the central clearing. These is the centrifugal pattern of lesion. You can see crusting and you can see central clearing. Okay, this is typical for dermatophytic infection. Now, what is dermatophytid or id reaction? What is dermatophytid or id reaction? In this, you can see that the allergens that are released from the fungus, the immune complex immunity is attacking these antigens, and though these antigens are circulating in the blood, so you will see that these lesions, when they are formed on the body, they are away from the primary site of attack. If somebody had a lesion on their arm, you can see that this is appearing on the hands. It means the primary site of lesion was somewhere else. This is a immune reaction to the antigens, to the allergens that were released in the body by this fungus during the primary attack. Okay, and that's how you can see this lesion. So what will happen in this case? If you take samples from these lesions, they might turn negative because there is no active fungus present on these lesions. The primary site of attack was somewhere else. This is an immune reaction. This is not because of direct attack from the fungus. Okay? We discussed in the beginning that wood lamp examination comes positive for Tinea versicolor. Then it comes positive from Microsporum and Trichophyton. Microsporum was causing hair and skin infection. Trichophyton was causing hair, nail and skin infection. Okay. What is the pigment that is that fluoresces? The name is pteridine pigment that is available in this fungus. What will you take? The specimens. You will take skin specimen from the affected site. You will take nail. And you will take hair sample, but you will not cut the hair, you will pluck it from the site, because you saw that the hair follicle was getting infected and the surrounding area was also getting infected. So you will not cut the hair sample, you will take sample from by plucking the hair. Okay. Now, in the beginning, you saw about Tinea capitis. There was endothrix and ectothrix. In endothrix, we discussed that these arthroconadias, they are inside the hair shaft. And during ectothrix, they are outside the hair shaft. So, on KOH mount, you will be able to see this pattern. What is the medium to inoculate dermatophyte? SDA agar with cycloheximide. Cycloheximide is what? Cycloheximide is antifungal which you use so that other environmental fungus do not grow while you are finding dermatophyte in the specimen. So you are using SDA agar, Sebarodes dextrose agar containing cycloheximide, and you incubate it for minimum 3 weeks and up to 4 weeks at 26 to 28 degree temperature. Okay. Then for better sporulation, you can use potato dextrose agar. Okay. Then based on the macroscopic appearance, whenever you grow a colony in the SDA agar, you will see the macroscopic appearance of how this fungus is growing. Is it fast growing? What is the texture? What is the color? And then on obverse view, you will see if it is causing any pigment, if there is any pigment change. You can see all that. So that is macroscopic appearance. And after that, you will see it on the microscopic appearance through KOH or LPCB mount. What is LPCB tease mount? What does LPCB tease mount have? LPCB tease mount has lactophenol cotton blue. So it has lactic acid, it has phenol, it has glycerine, it has blue reagent which will give bluish color, cotton blue, which will give bluish color to the fungus. Lactic acid is acidic in nature. It will render it will help with the integrity of the cellular integrity of the fungus. Phenol will disinfect this organism while you are dealing with it, and glycerol will keep it away from drying. It will retain the moisture so that you could observe the structure intact way. Okay, that is LPCB for you. When you do LPCB tease mount and you observe it under the microscope, you will see hyphae or conidia. What is conidia? They are the spores. You saw spores in the previous picture. This microconidia will be small unicellular and macroconidia will be multicellular and septate. Okay? And there are special hyphae in case of dermatophytes which are spiral, racket or favic shaped. So what do they look like? You can see that in Trichophyton mentagrophytes, you are seeing this pencil shaped conidia. This is Microsporum canis. This is spindle shaped, and here that is club shaped. This is Epidermophyton flocosum. Okay, you can see they are club shaped. Can you see here? The microconidia in Trichophyton, it is pencil shaped, and there are certain abundant microconidia also, these small microconidia. Then in case of Microsporum, you can see there are no microconidia, but these macroconidia, they are numerous and spindle shaped. Can you see here? This is spindle shaped. And in case of Epidermophyton, microconidia are absolutely a no-no. There is no microconidia, but there is club shaped microconidia. This is under what? This is microscopy. Okay. These all dermatophytes you will differentiate based on microscopic appearance and microscopic appearance. So you can see here in case of T. rubrum, as the name suggests, you can see it is velvety red pigment on the reverse. So it is easy to differentiate that this is Trichophyton rubrum because it has a red pigment behind it. That is why it is named like this. And it will show you teardrop shaped plenty microconidia. So when they are showing you this, it is particularly known as bird on the fence appearance because it looks like there are numerous birds sitting on the fence. That is particular for T. rubrum. Then T. mentagrophytes. White to tan powdery pigment could be variable. It could be any color. Okay. You can see microconidia are numerous, round to pyriform, and microconidia are cigar shaped or spiral. So based on this microscopic and microscopic appearance, you will differentiate in the different species of dermatophytes. Okay. This is how Trichophyton mentagrophyte looks. This is Microsporum canis, and this is Epidermophyton flocosum. So based on the texture and the timing of growth and the pigment they are causing, and depending on the color of the mold, color of the vegetation, you can differentiate them based on the microscopic appearance. This we had discussed during SDD, hair perforation test. I had shown you a picture where there was wedge formation in the hair shaft. Do you remember? That is hair perforation test. It is positive for T. mentagrophytes and M. canis. Urease test I have seen you in the beginning. Positive test will be which color? If the organism can create urease, it is of which color? Originally, it is of which color? Urease slant. Urease slant is of which color? Urease slant is of which color? You. Any one of you. Urease slant is originally of which color? Showed in the beginning of the chapter. What does it have? How does it change the color? Why is the color change necessary when you read the urease test. Okay. You can treat it with oral terbinafine or itraconazole. Coming to subcutaneous infections. In subcutaneous infections, what is happening? The skin underneath the superficial infections were causing in which areas? The keratinized areas. In subcutaneous infection, everything underlined it up to the bones, even bones can get infected, right? What are these fungus that are causing subcutaneous infection and how they are causing these infections? It is because of the accidental injury and coming in contact with these fungus. So where they can be found? They can be found in the soil, right? So what are they producing? Granulomatous lesions in the subcutaneous tissue. Can you see this? You can see the swelling. You can see that there is certain granulomatous formation. There are sinuses underlying the swelling and they can release certain discharging, these sinuses, they can discharge certain granules and these granules also have different colors. Okay, and based on that we can differentiate by which infectious organism, microorganism, this subcutaneous mycosis was caused. Okay, what is this thing here? This is Madura foot. Why do we call it Madura foot? It was discovered in Madurai, Tamil Nadu. Okay, it was first described in Madurai, South India by John Gill in 1842. This was discussed previously when there is fungal mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, we call it eumycetoma. When it is bacterial mycosis because of actinomycetes, we call it actinomycetoma. And when Staphylococcus aureus is causing such infection, we call it botriomycosis. Okay. I told you that based on the granules, they can be classified. What kind of granule which organism is producing, and these sinuses are discharging these granules. You can see these are the agents of mycetoma. Black granules are given by what? Medulla, Exophylla and Curvularia. So these are all pheoid fungus. You could say this Curvularia is a pheoid fungus that can give you black pigment also. Then white granules are given by Aspergillus, Acremonium and Fusarium. Actinomycetoma, it means bacteria is involved. Your white to yellow granules can be seen by these species and pink to red granules by Actinomedulla pelletieri. Okay. What is the difference between fungal and bacterial mycetoma? You can see that this fungal one is single and well defined margins. But where there is multiple tumor masses, as you saw in the first picture I showed you of Madura foot, there were multiple tumor masses, right? That is because of actinomycetoma. And in this case, you will see the discharge will be purulent. This is a very important finding. If you see that there is a purulent discharge from the patient's leg, you can suspect bacterial infection. But if there is a serous discharge, you can go for fungal suspicion. Okay. These can lead to osteolytic lesions. These can cause osteosclerotic lesions. Okay. Then we discussed that it's because of the accidental trauma. These infections could be because of even the thorn prick injuries. What is causing a thorn prick mycetoma? Sporothrix schenckii, also known as Rose Gardner's disease. That will see the chapter further. What is the clinical triad we discussed till now for mycetoma? I told you about swelling, I told you about sinuses and discharging granules from these sinuses. So this is the clinical triad for mycetoma in either cases, eumycetoma or actinomycetoma. Okay. These grains that you collect from these sinuses that are discharging, you crush them and you observe them under the microscope. That is how you collect the specimen in case of subcutaneous mycosis. Okay. This remains the same as further. Here you can see that there is chlamydospore formation at the margins. What is chlamydospore? Chlamydospore is sexual spore of the fungus that helps it with survival and reproduction. Okay, this chlamydospore formation will be seen in case of eumycetoma. Okay. This is granulomatous reaction with palisading arrangement of hyphae. You can see this palisading arrangement of hyphae in the center, and over here you can see this bacteria at the margins. Okay, this is the bacteria at the margins in the granules. In case of mycetoma, since it can lead to the systemic disease soon, you have to treat patient with high-end antifungals, amphotericin B, and you have to perform surgical intervention. Similarly, in the case of mucormycosis also. Okay, any grave fungal infection that can lead to the systemic illness very soon, you have to take surgical intervention and you have to give antifungals such as amphotericin B. Okay. Coming to the next subcutaneous infection, this is Rose Gardner's disease. This is caused by Sporothrix shenkai. It is thermally dimorphic fungus. Again, what is thermally dimorphic fungus? Existing in two forms, mold and yeast, at different temperatures. Okay. This is the sporotrichoid pattern that you see on the patient. The granulomas are formed in such a way. Why is it spreading like that? Because it is spreading through the lymphatic system. Okay. Also, you can see the lymphadenopathy. Asteroid bodies are seen in case of these infections. These are, does anybody say anything? These are eosinophilic masses. They are coming and surrounding these complexes. These are the antigen antibody complexes surrounded by the eosinophilic cells. So you will see this particular thing in cytopathology. Okay, what is this phenomena known as? This phenomena has a name, which is Splender-Hoepli phenomena. Where else can you see this? You can see this in candidiasis and zygomycosis. What is zygomycosis? Infection caused due to mucor and rhizopus. Okay. This is how it grows on SDA, the typical flower-like pattern. Coming to chromoblastomycosis, it is again caused by the group of Dematiceous fungi that produce morphologically sclerotic bodies. This is different from the asteroid body that you saw in sporotrichosis. This is asteroid body. This is seen in chromoblastomycosis. Chromoblastomycosis is caused by pheoid fungus. What are these pheoid fungus? These are all the names of pheoid fungus. You just have to remember that these are Dematiceous fungus capable of producing a black pigment. Okay. You can see such copper penny bodies in this case. These septate bodies developed by the fungus, which are also known as medlar bodies or copper penny bodies. You might get an MCQ that copper penny bodies are seen in which of the following. So there will be options: chromoblastomycosis, Medura, or sporotrichosis. The answer is chromoblastomycosis. Okay. Then there is pheohyphomycosis, similar to this, but here the sclerotic bodies are not reduced. They appear in the mycelial forms and they can cause the lesions like this. Okay. Coming to rhinosporidiasis, it is the granulomatous disease caused by large friable polyps like this in the nose, As the name suggests, there is rhino. It means the nose is involved. How is it attacking you? When you take a swim in the dormant stagnant water, sorry. Stagnant water has this Rhinosporidium seaberry. It is the aquatic parasite. Okay. This can go and lodge into your nose and cause this friable polyp-like lesion in the nose and conjunctiva. As the name suggests, rhinosporidiosis, causative organism, Rhinosporidium seaberry happens because of taking a swim in the stagnant water. Okay. This is the cytopathological presentation. You can see the sperules like this. Okay, just remember these sperules can be seen. Coming to opportunistic infections. Now, opportunistic infections, I told you in the beginning that we'll discuss Candida, we'll discuss Aspergillus, we'll discuss Mucor. Along with that, there is Penicillium marnifi. Penicillium marnifi has been recently renamed as Talaromyces marnifi. Okay, this is the name in fashion these days. You do not have to use penicillin. Now it is Talaromyces marnifi. It is causing opportunistic infection in the HIV patients. This fungus is very common. It can be found in the household kitchen. You might have seen it on the bread sometime in the house. Okay, but this can cause opportunistic infection in the HIV infected patients. Okay. Can you see this? Yeast cells with the central septations can be seen. This is because of transverse fission. This is how a red pigmented colony in the mold form can be seen in the SDA agar. Okay. What will you treat it with? Amphotericin B. Coming to candidiasis. Candida is a oral mucosal flora which is available in half of the population, but what happens is when you have good immunity, your T cells are keeping this oral population in your mouth in check. They are not letting the Candida grow. So when there is infection like HIV, the moisture in your oral cavity, it is reduced. It is causing xerostomia. Okay. That thing that was keeping the Candida in check is gone, and T cells are depleted, particularly Th14, it is depleted, and that is why the Candida is growing on the places where it used to be normally present in normal count. Okay, so it can lead to oral thrush, it can lead to other candidal infections. What is this? This is oral thrush. This is how it looks. It can cause the scurdy white patches in the mouth of the HIV infected patient. Okay. What are other manifestations that you can see in these people? Vulvovaginitis, balanitis, and esophageal candidiasis. So basically, where it was present in the, normally in people where it is present, it is causing infection by producing in the large quantity. Okay, intertrigo is the infection in the skin folds, and you can see the onychomycosis or other candidial infections. There are n number of candidial infection. It can cause infection in the body anywhere. It can even cause brain abscess. Allergic candidiasis is similar as the dermatophytid reaction. How do you do the laboratory diagnosis? Take the sample from the mucosal patch, keep it in the laboratory. It's the fast growing yeast like fungus. Within 2 days you will see white pasty creamy colonies, right? On gram stain, what will you see? Gram positive budding yeast cells. If there is active infection, you will be able to see some pseudohyphae in these cells. Okay. Coming to cutaneous mucormycosis caused by mucor and rhizopus. Mucors are also known as lid lifters. Why? Because they are kept in the, when you inoculate them in the SDA agar, in the tube, they try to grow so much that even they can lid the lift and try to outgrow the tube. Okay, that's why they are known as lid lifters. From soil exposure or from trauma or penetrating injury, these fungus can go into the mucosa and cause rhinocerebral mucormycosis. This mucormycosis was observed during post-COVID era where there was low immunity. People who were working as farmers, as people who were very much prone to the injuries, presented with such manifestations very commonly. So you might see n number of articles after post-COVID era because this was one of the most common fungus that was observed after COVID-19. Okay. What do you have to do here? You have to go for aggressive surgical debridement. As soon as you are suspecting rhinocerebral mucormycosis or anything, you have to go for aggressive surgical debridement and start the patient with antifungals such as amphotericin B. Aspergillosis, you know, again, Aspergillus is ubiquitous. This can cause infection in the immunocompromised patients. Patients such as who had burn infection, patient had a trauma and after surgery, even after surgery. In fact, patient who have been treated with for TB and who had cavitous lesions, the aspergillus grows in those cavities within the body. So it's a very opportunistic fungus. And cryptococcosis. What does cryptococcosis cause? Meningitis. Okay. It can also cause this skin lesions in immunocompromised people. You can see this vessel purpuric tumor-like growth lesions and rashes on the people who were infected with cryptococcosis. How will you diagnose? What will you see in India Ink? You will see capsules. Okay. What is the answer? What is the answer to this? Answer is B. Okay. Who says answer is B? What is the question? How many of you say answer is B? C? बाकी लोग क्या करने आए यहाँ पे? You want to answer D? What is the answer? एपिडर्मोफाइटन क्या है? How many of you were right? कोई भी नहीं. ये तो बता दो. How many of you say answer is A? Just one.